Lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Rufino's on Highland Road, welcome to the Friday edition. Early
in the air.
You gonna sing for us today?
Everywhere. I'm not good at lyrics, but I got that "Love Is in the Air."
Yeah, the full scope of Valentine's Day. When you go to a place like this.
Colucci flower tips. Huh?
Yeah, we got that yesterday.
So, what would you do, A, B, or C, if you had all three options? This is good for Max, huh? This is
really better for Max. Yeah, give him all three options. You get the full gambit in a place like Rufino.
I didn't bring his headset because we're an hour earlier, and he said he was going to be late, and he's freaking here.
Okay, well, give me the options. Give me the options. A, B, or C. Well,
A, you go out to a restaurant.
Okay.
B,
good.
You cook at the house or the apartment, the condo, whatever. It's
okay.
Some ladies are more impressed with, and if you're good, okay. And then C is let Mama Colucci fix a meal that you can just warm up and pretend it's your own. Max, what would you do?
That's really good.
Max is done. He's a dorpy.
Option A is safe. Okay, you make a reservation. You go to a restaurant. You know it's someplace that she likes.
It's funny.
That's safe.
I think young people. Consider it almost like an insult if you don't take her. A young lady, if you don't take her out.
Right.
Okay. Oh, he's going cheap. He's just cooking at the house. When, you can. I've seen plenty of home chefs that can But that Mama Colucci's, I don't know. I'd say early. The safe bet is take out. Come to Rufino.
It's very safe.
Call in October and get your reservation for Valentine's Day.
Don't call today.
Howard said he could fit all kinds of people in today.
Don't even joke about that. My
if
man's
you have
stressed.
a problem coming in last minute, just talk to Barry.
Yeah, always accommodate. You know the pressure's on.
Howard.
You know who the pressure's on for this? It's people that are in a beginning relationship. Okay, you're not like in an established relationship. You just started dating somebody.
Well, duh, Charlie. That's the whole thing. Yes.
No. You could screw up a longer relationship on Valentine's Day. But if you're in a beginning relationship and you're not quite, but that's where too little or too much. Blow the whole thing.
Charlie, you're really not split. Of course. Yes. I mean, just trying to figure out you're the one and vice versa. Yes. You got a lot of pressure on you? You're not in an early relationship. You got pressure on you tonight?
No.
Okay.
But
neither do I.
But if you're in a long-term relationship and you screw up Valentine's Day, that's not good, okay?
Yes, the younger, it's just, as you get older, you realize this is a big sham, okay?
It's economics.
This is like Cinco de Mayo.
Did you ever think about what the calendar would be like economically if there were no holidays? Think about it. If you wiped out every holiday, no Christmas, no 4th of July, no Memorial Day, no Easter.
That's a very good point, Charlie.
Yeah, if you wipe that out, you would seriously screw with the economics of this country. So this is just another one.
What would Livingston Parish do without 4th of July? The big cat fireworks, buy 7, get 1 free or something. Buy 1, get 7 free.
What would every Mexican restaurant in town do without Cinco de Mayo? It's a big hit for them.
Right? I was in my, I think I was even almost 30, late 20s, and I was fired up. Mexico for Cinco de Mayo. What a freaking fool I was. What a fool I
would have fell for it, too. You told the story before, but it absolutely makes sense. Like, this is going to be a really Mañana, tomorrow, Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. ¿Qué hace? What's going on?
You know, like it's Thursday. We don't care.
Okay. Because what? Huh?
But I would,
Okay.
I would have fallen for it too. When we went to Ireland, we went for St. Patrick's Day. That was not a disappointment.
They have a parade, Charlie.
A big
Dublin.
parade.
Yeah,
okay.
Tiger. Didn't they go to one we were at?
They went to the next one.
The next one, okay.
They went to the next one.
Okay.
No, it's like the 4th of July meets Mardi Gras in Dublin, Ireland for St. Patrick's Day. That was not a disappointment.
Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras.
Mardi. I like that. I like that. No, I like that. I like. Don't change. No, I'm not picking. I think that's one of the fun things about our state. You can go from New Orleans to Baton Rouge to Lafayette to Hanson to North Louisiana. There's different little cultures all
Yes.
within. That's a good thing, Charlie.
I've told you.
not
You've been
picking.
down to the small town
Trust me.
Mardi Gras. You've
don't
been to
pick
the
'em
big
up.
ones.
Oh no, it's the best. That's the most. That's that. I can't. I haven't been to every Mardi. I gotta tell you, I'd have a little time. Have a little issue warming up to chasing after the chickens in my move. Just not my thing.
Right,
You know,
right.
Kind of, just kind of like those dudes with the mask. I'm kind of creeps me out a little bit. You know, makes me uncomfortable.
I like the
But
horses, though.
The crew of sucrose. Yeah. That is a throw down, Jack. That is a throw down. Y'all had to yank me out. I didn't want to leave.
It was good. Yeah,
I was singing with the band Journey. Yes, indeed, man. Singing happy. But you were the highlight. To see you with the makeup and the king mustache and beard, the goatee, whatever, and the crown. No. I could not stop laughing.
It was
I was in. It is etched. You know some things you'll never forget.
Yes.
I will never forget Mardi Gras at Hanson High.
Yeah.
Freaking
It's a good
yes.
one. Was a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
What
baby.
else? What else is today? Opening day of baseball season. That's why we're on early today.
Which happens from time to time. You always talk about that. You know, Valentine's Day at the box. Huh?
Yeah.
You know,
Valentine's Day.
I thought we moved this season back.
No, it's been this week for a while.
But I thought like 20 years ago it could be February. It could be opening day at Valentine's.
20 years ago. Yeah.
Am I misremembering?
No, they set a uniform start date for everybody in college baseball about 15, 20 years ago. Because before that, the California schools would start early. They would start like the end of January, and they thought they were getting an advantage. Which
they are.
They were, yeah. But it's like, hey, I'm sorry, it's warmer in San Diego than Columbus, Ohio, in late January.
It's not today, but it's warmer in Baton Rouge than it is in Columbus, Ohio.
So they set this uniform start date. I forgot what year that was.
So is that the fair thing that because they've been itching? We're tired of playing these SEC teams in football.
Yeah.
In Miami, in the Superdome, in Pasadena. We want them on our turf.
Yeah. They push.
Is that fair? Just
yeah.
I mean,
it's a completely fair.
SMU going up there and playing in that.
They floated the idea of a March start date for college baseball several years back, and it never got any traction.
I thought they just moved it back a week.
They did, but they
tell me that's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, Charlie, I hadn't had a Valentine's Day. I mean, is that what it is?
So
it's been 20 years since I had a Valentine's Day date.
No, not necessarily. But they tried to move it back to March, but that would have moved the College World Series into July, and they didn't want any part of that. It was an economic thing because it involved housing and feeding college baseball players in the regular season well after the semesters had ended. So that was one of the big reasons. Also, Omaha wasn't wild about the idea of the College World Series being on or after the 4th of July, so it never really got any steam. And so the northern teams continue to have to spend most of their March on these snowbird trips coming down here.
I mean, they're just never going to really be able to be on a level playing field. Just can't.
No,
just can't.
It won't.
I mean, I'm not building any domes in the Big Ten.
Correct. It's not a big revenue sport in the Northeast.
Speaking of which, we talk big game James. I heard somebody say, "Well, we'll see. Got Knowles, whatever. Can he win some more big games? Does he get credit for big games by winning 2 playoff games against SMU and Boise, or not? To make it to the semifinal,
Yeah.
They did. Or he just caught the draw where before they can fix it in not next year, but the year after.
You know what I
where
think?
he won't have that seed and have the same draw.
This is what I think about that. If you're a Penn State fan, I don't think it changed your mind. If you were in the Franklin camp before, this is something you can use. Say, we made the national semifinals. If you were not in the Franklin camp before, I think you use this and say, well, it was Boise and SMU. If you were in one of those camps, I don't know that this changed your mind.
I will say this. This is how many of those games, the big game James, did he have the better roster? Very few.
I would say that there were maybe a couple of those the last 5 years against Michigan that maybe they would have won or at least comparable with the – you remember Harbaugh's run there against, what was it, Ohio State, Michigan State, and Penn State was pretty poor there for the first 5 years or so that he was there. There was something like 2-9. Some of those, and then the last 5 years,
he was going against better teams.
Yeah, then the last
best roster won.
Well, you asked me how many times Franklin had the better roster against those big teams. I would say some of those early Harbaugh teams, he had a better roster.
Very few. Okay, the one he
Probably
lost this year, they're giving him
State.
some credit. He had a better roster than Notre Dame.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had a better roster than Notre Dame. I mean, the quarterback was so freaking bad.
He was. They played that game 10 times. Penn State really should win 8.
What they did, they took. Remember, they went like 95 yards. They took the ball out the guy's hand.
Yeah. Some of those passes. Now, I thought I can't ever remember why I thought he had a better roster than Ohio State since he's been there. Okay?
Never.
They were more competitive this year. The game was 20-13, I think was the final. In Penn State, because they had the early lead. Remember,
Ohio State.
They got the turnover and they got the early lead.
It's 17-10, I think it was.
Okay, a touchdown.
Yeah. Because they went up 10. It might have been 20-13, 17-10 or 20-13, and they were inside the one.
And Ohio State had the best roster in
Ohio State was not Ohio State playoff.
No, they got better as the season went along.
No, they got better as soon as they lost to Michigan. They didn't get better as the season went along.
Yeah,
Charlie.
No, you're right.
Come on, Johnny.
You're right.
Come on, Mardi Gras. Tell me something, mister.
But did you think – take the score out of it. Did you think Penn State was outclassed athletically against Ohio State? I thought Ohio State was better, but not better. But not by a big margin.
Not outclassed, because that's before Howard. That's before they started playing better. Had they played in the playoff, they'd have wiped them out.
Yeah.
Wiped them out.
That's those games where –
the Ducks. That was – Penn State could have won that game.
Yeah.
Penn State could have won, but they didn't, and it wasn't. Oregon was a little bit cleaner in their execution that day, and that's one thing we try and handicap. We try and predict, and like these guys are robots, but it depends on how you play that day. And Oregon was a little bit better, a little bit cleaner early. They built the lead and held off Penn State, but Penn State wasn't outclassed there. But you saw what Ohio State did to Oregon.
Yeah.
That's. Those two, Penn State and Oregon, were close.
Yes.
Okay. And we saw Ohio State in the regular season need a goal line stand to avoid overtime. And then we saw in the playoffs them obliterate. It's 31-0. Got the shoe.
Is Penn State going to be in any circles favored to win the Big Ten next year? They get the quarterback back, and Ohio State doesn't. I mean, I don't know what the whole roster looks like, but is there going to be anywhere where Penn State, because of Villar, is the favorite next year?
No.
They'll be second to Ohio State.
Got to go to Columbus.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to think of who
but
else.
But Ohio State's going to be number one. They're still they lose some, but it's Ohio State.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, go to Columbus next year, and I promise you they'll respect that one.
Oh.
That's asking a bit much, though.
I just, the guy said, can he win some more? Big game James.
If you liked him before, you'll use that. If you didn't like him before, it probably didn't change your mind.
We said, I didn't get that before the season started. This should be the Penn State format, because they would have been in it like 7 out of 10 times, but But
and if you're a James Franklin supporter, you'll say, "Look at that, we made the Final Four. We even won 2 games to make the Final Four."
It's the Ryan Day format.
Well,
is he gone in a 14 playoff? They're out. You lose to Michigan 4 years in a row.
would have been interesting. I think he would have survived, but I can't guarantee it. I can't guarantee it.
And now he's got how many million?
It's a 7-year extension. I think
Love is in the air over here at Ruffino's. Our appetizer feature today: the Brussels sprouts, the oysters, Rockefeller, the stuffed shrimp, a little prosciutto wrapped shrimp, crab stuffing with the sauce Sharon. The entree features doing a sea bass. Pan-seared Chilean sea bass with the butternut squash puree, fennel and cucumber slaw, suggested wine pairing, the Pejus Chardonnay out of Napa. Surf and turf for the Valentine's crew tonight. 16-ounce ribeye, lobster and spinach cream, polenta wine, suggested wine pairing, Turnbull Cabernet out of Napa as well. The chocolate mousse is our dessert feature for the weekend. And as always, we do the Ruffino's Old Elk, Ruffino's exclusive hand-picked single-barrel select bourbon on a cold day like today. I'll warm you up. And how about this? Dirty Chai Teeny. Chai tea, espresso, vanilla vodka, brown sugar simple with the frothed milk. Huh?
Yeah.
That sounds like a little cappuccino tray. Just something. Huh?
We can start early.
Cappuccino tray something. There you go, Charlie. Live of the week.
Live at lunch here from Ruffino's 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, the show's available on demand, LouisianaSports.net, 1045ESPN.com. Our Handycast podcast previews are up for baseball. Heading out to the box at 2 o'clock today for the opener between LSU and Purdue Fort Wayne.
No line on Purdue Fort Wayne, but got some pretty good matchups here early in some of the neutral sites.
Yeah, the global,
you okay with neutral sites in baseball?
Yeah, especially this time of year. I like multiple opponents in a weekend, and you get some really nice competition. This LSU's played in the tournament in Houston a number of times. They're not there this year at Minute Maid, but they are going to go over to Round Rock and play in a couple of weeks. But this tournament at Globe Life Field today, which includes Clemson, Oklahoma State, Texas, Louisville. Who else am I missing out of that thing? Ole Miss,
Ohio
Arizona.
State.
Yeah, there's some really nice games.
No, I'm sorry, Texas.
Yeah, Texas and Louisville,
Texas,
Arizona,
Louisville.
Ole Miss, Clemson, and Oklahoma State.
Wow.
And then they all swap opponents. That's a really nice tournament.
Yeah, I'd say.
Michigan going down to Puerto Rico to play Virginia.
Retractable roof in the Metroplex area, which can get cold.
Yeah, because Minute Maid does not have any heating or air conditioning for the full park. You know, when the roof closes, they don't have heating. Excuse me. They don't have any heating.
Okay.
So when they close that thing in February, it's still kind of chilly. I can remember a game LSU played against Nebraska in Minute Maid.
Not at okay.
In February.
Okay.
It was chilly in there,
Okay.
but still beats outside by a lot. So.
Yeah, I guess if you have a full house, I mean, it'd be the body. It'd be a little warmer.
I love that tournament in Houston. I've been every time LSU has been. And
they're not doing it this year?
LSU's not doing it this year. They're going to go play at 3 games at Round Rock. And then they're going to play a game at Globe Life against Dallas.
In Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they're going to play Dallas Baptist on that trip in Globe Life, single game at Globe Life in Arlington.
Kind of like they did when they played Texas right after Round Rock or something?
Yes. That's exactly what it is.
So it was the big
they went to Texas, and then they went to the 3 games in Round Rock.
Yeah.
Just to work in an extra road game and get you. I always like the idea of taking your team on the road at least once before conference play starts.
You think Backich was kind of a Clemson, a former Michigan coach that got them to the World Series finals and to a Game 3 against a loaded Vandy team
yeah.
that year. ahead of schedule at Clemson. You think he takes that next step this year? Or are they supposed to be good?
They're supposed to be very good. I would be lying if I told you I've done a deep dive on Clemson baseball, but I know what he's done, and I know where the league is. And he had that pedigree. His name came up for a lot of jobs, and that was one. We've seen Clemson baseball. Okay, when there's a lot of LSU comparisons to Clemson. Okay, you're dyed in the wool on football, dyed in the wool on baseball, and if the basketball team's good, so be it. Now they're okay, some years, and some years Clemson basketball is like, bottom of the league. They're a football, baseball. You know more about Clemson than I do. I mean, you've had friends that have been there. You toured the campus with EJ when you guys were looking around, so you know more about Clemson than me. But that's how they've always struck me.
It is much smaller campus. The town obviously is smaller, but the campus is considerably smaller. The enrollment is smaller and they talk about when we visited how much it's grown. I mean, it's just kind of but man, they got a deep football history, and that they're football school first. I mean, there's no doubt, but it just seems like they just kind of typical ACC baseball power. Have so many good teams, been there a bunch, but just never really made a whole lot of noise.
There were a couple of years. You're right. Never as much noise as you thought they would.
Who has won? It was forever. And Virginia was the first ACC team that won a championship in 50 years or something like that?
Yeah.
60?
Brian O'Connor, yeah.
Nobody else has won one, right?
Not since then, no.
No, nobody else in the ACC.
Yeah, since Virginia, no.
So one in the last 75 years?
Yeah. And
that's kind of – and they are right there with the metrics, and they play each other. I mean, the metrics are fair. Yeah. They just cannot get it done in the postseason.
North Carolina's come so close. I mean, back-to-back years in the finals, and they came up short.
There's been some close misses by the SEC, too. They just get it done.
True. The year Clemson, I thought, had the best chance to win it was 96. The Warren Morris year, because they had two of the top four picks in the draft. Benson and Koch were 1 and 4 in the draft that year. That was their top two starters. Koch was a closer when he got to the big leagues, but he was a starter that year. When you got the top two pitchers in the tournament, and they did that year, they went 2 and out.
Well, Benson was not great.
No,
on that mound.
He was bad in that series. In that game, he got hit hard. It's just one game because they were 2 and out.
Bad for him.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just say, look, just like real mediocre out there. Just looked like nothing special when he was a number one pick.
Yeah, he was the number one pick, and in a kind of a nondescript pro career. Koch was better than him.
That team came through because Team USA, they played a game at Alec Box.
They did.
And I remember they were at the place that's now Tio Have's, Ninfa's.
It was Ninfa's.
What was the Rad? What is that place now? The hotel. So they had a press arrangement. And so I met Benson. I met Benson. Jock Jones was on that team.
Troy Gloss was on that team, I believe.
He wasn't there. He wasn't there at this presser. But Skip was the
coach.
Yeah.
Morris and
Warren Morris.
Jason Williams was on that team too.
Yeah.
Little nostalgia here as we get.
So where's Nebraska playing Irvine?
Nebraska is playing Irvine in Scottsdale. Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. What a name for a stadium, huh? Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. Sounds like a golf course.
A little bit of a Native American presence, bro.
Yeah.
I love those Indian names, man. That's great.
There's a lot of places you can play baseball in Arizona in February and March. Oregon State's playing in Surprise. That's one of the spring training sites. So you can find a bunch of places to.
No picks today. No futures. You got nothing for us today. No opinions. No angles.
Yes, I think LSU will win the game today at 3:00.
No, 2 o'clock. They don't have a line on that. We're gonna lay 8.5 runs. Come on, man. Don't play with me.
Hey, you know who's pitching this weekend for Ole Miss? Our old friend Elliott.
He's back.
He's still there. his senior year. Remember, they rode him to the national championship.
He was the reason that they elevated from bubble team to national champion.
Yeah.
I mean, what player was more instrumental as far as, I mean, he got hot and he never stopped.
He was, and then the next year blew the arm out. And
okay.
It was out for a whole year.
Okay.
And
so he had Tommy John.
Yeah, and he's never quite been the same as he was.
Really?
Was that year? Luke Hill, maybe one of their probably one of their leading hitters this year. Local product.
Really?
At Ole Miss, yeah. He's had a nice career there going into his.
Okay, yeah. This is his draft year.
Yeah.
So 1 year at Arizona State and 1 year at Ole Miss.
Yep, it's had a nice career to this point.
Yeah. What did they move him from short? Is he? Is he playing second? But he's the start.
He played the second
shortstop.
base at the beginning. I think he's a shortstop now.
I got you. Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings. 296-0060. Full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional service is what you get every time you call. 296-0060. Our great staff at Legacy Title. Ashley Donald, Marion Haynes, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title. 296-0060.
Live at Rufino's, live at lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Otten Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at Rufino's live at lunch. Early start today to accommodate for Hunt Show from noon until 2, leading up to the first pitch between LSU and Purdue Fort Wayne. I said Round Rock that LSU's going to in a couple of weeks. It's Frisco, Texas. Just outside of Dallas. They're going to play in a tournament over there. They're going to play Kansas State, Nebraska, and Sam Houston. So I got my small Texas Parks mixed up. They're going to Frisco in a couple of weeks. A lot of excitement in college basketball for this weekend with 1 versus 2 and a lot of other big matchups. This
Houston at Arizona.
Houston at Arizona is a really, really good game. Wisconsin and Purdue is interesting. So we got a lot to chew on. But you got boots on the ground in Tuscaloosa, man. We know how they get up for a big football game, but this is the biggest basketball game they've ever played on campus. Got to be, right? There's never been a 1 versus 2 before. So game day going to be there. Game's at 3 o'clock, I believe, our time.
3 p.m.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
they're putting out memos on how to go and camp out. It'd be a little chilly to camp out for that. I don't know. But, my brief visits to Tuscaloosa, when I make the cracks, and basketball school now. Nobody smiles.
they got no sense of humor about that football coach, man.
Nobody smiles.
Was this not the most predictable?
He's the best coach on the campus. It ain't close, bro.
Was this not the most predictable thing in the world that the guy that followed Saban was going to be?
Oh, it's brutal, man. It's brutal. It's a job. It could be a career killer for DeBoer. I mean, he was so on his way, huh, Charlie?
I think about Ray Perkins a lot when I think about him.
So what happened to Perkins?
It killed his career. It killed his career. He was the head coach of the New York Giants.
I know.
When he took that job after Bryant passed.
The Giants weren't great.
They weren't great, but it was an NFL job.
Yes.
And
you got to remember at the time, too, an NFL job was way more prestigious than a college job. You've got some guys, some college jobs are as good, if not better, than
more lucrative.
No question.
For
question.
Sure.
That gap is pretty much – your average NFL job is certainly better than your average. See, the college, I mean, where do we go? Just SEC job, Power 4 job, but the average, let's say Power 4. The average NFL job is certainly better than the average job. But there are a lot of college jobs that are better than a big chunk of NFL jobs.
Ain't no 10-year contracts in the NFL, I can promise you that.
But this guy, where does he land after? Because this can't work. This can't work to their. You can't follow Saban in that. And now, because who. And Saban got out of it because he was the best at loading the deck. The best. And you don't think when why do you think he wasn't whining about Texas A&M? He was on the boosters to get off their butts to give him the same budget. Yeah. He wasn't whining. He wanted to try and Now forget that nonsense when he comes on game day and wants to make a level playing field. Forget that. That is the I mean, he's about to combust. I mean, just start, catch on fire when he starts that crap, man. Put somebody on that deck. Please challenge him when he decides. Besides a comedian from Notre Dame, on to playing the play.
He took that really well.
Yes, but it is for your head coach, just like you did, huh? You wanted a competitive balance. I mean, so Charlie, if he
I'll tell you what I think.
He's not going to inspire the boosters to contribute to NIL like he would. That's obvious, right?
Yeah, right.
So it is you're not going to have the success because they're a good program, but they're in a cluster. They're not they were so hard to beat when he was there. And because he worked the angle and where he had the loaded deck, nobody had. I mean, poor Ohio State's got 17 starters out the national, and that's a bad example, maybe with COVID, but not one player. I mean, just everything. The Willie Lyles, these scouts. Oregon got in trouble. Oregon got slapped with a little bit, huh?
Yes, they absolutely.
Okay, well, he's paying the guy more than Oregon is.
Mm-hmm. I know. And
then did it help that his their kids are married with the NCAA president? I mean, the guy worked every angle it is. DeBoer can't succeed to those people's liking. He can't.
Right.
And so what happens so he's here for next year? Because if he goes 8-4, they're making a change.
8-4, yeah, they would make.
Okay, they can go 8-4.
I'll give you. If it's after next year, but I'm going to give you a type of program that I think he ends up at, okay? He ends up at a type of program like, I'll give you one out of each conference besides the SEC. He ends up somewhere like Oklahoma State. If Gundy, they're like, okay, 20 years, that's enough. It's time to go. Wisconsin, Fickle's got a losing record there in 2 years. North Carolina, if it was 2 or 3 years from now, and Belichick's like, and I know he's trying to set up his son to get that job, but if that doesn't go well.
He has sent up. That's why he's there.
Right. A program like that. I
don't think so.
Middle to high power.
I don't think so.
All right,
I think he's going back to where he was pre-Washington, like Fresno State.
Okay.
No. I mean, I know I'm shooting low. I mean, I don't think he's getting a Power 4 job. Those are moderate Power 4. Oklahoma State.
Those are moderate to good Power 4 jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking about going to like.
Okay, no, those are solid.
Yeah.
Those are solid. No, he's not getting a solid Power 4 job. No. Nope.
Let's bet a coffee on that. I say when he leaves Alabama, he gets a Power 4 job. You say he doesn't.
Well, now you're going from a solid Power 4 job to a Power 4 job. Can he get Vanderbilt?
Okay,
I mean, can he get Kentucky? Stoops might quit.
Wake Forest, okay.
Wake Forest is a very good one.
Okay, better than that. Better than the very bottom of the Power 4. Somewhere in that mid to mid-high range, I think.
Well, you're a hell of a negotiator, huh? You went from good to anything but the.
I'm giving you a little bit. I'm giving you a little bit.
You're trying to Jimmy out me.
What is Tech? What is Texas Tech? Just to pick a school. I would say that's in the middle of the Big 12, but
I would say Texas Tech is not Wisconsin and Oklahoma State.
It's not.
So that's a fair one. That's a fair barometer.
Arizona,
worse.
Virginia,
worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maryland.
No.
See, that's where you get kind of splitting here. I would have put Illinois on that list too, but Bielema was actually beefed that program up a little bit. They're way better.
Illinois would be
way better than they were.
Normally, Illinois would be right there. Yeah, that's a hard place to win. Northwestern.
We should work for Jimmy Sexton. We find guys jobs. We got off track there a little bit. The basketball game, Alabama and Auburn.
The basketball
was where we
1.5. I like Bama. I like the home team. It's a light number. I think they're really close. I think you don't. Do you think Bama's getting better? His team.
God, they were so good. They were so good to start with. I mean,
were they?
Has there been any point in this season where they've been bad, or even like
average?
I'm
watching. They're winning on the road routinely in the conference, like comfortably.
Okay,
you know that was a comfortable win.
And I'm with
Texas,
you on
the
road wins, but they were good in December. I mean.
Yeah, everybody's getting better. They should. Okay,
if you got a good coach,
I think
you
he's
should
a
be
good
getting
coach.
better. Yeah.
I think he's a good coach. I think their style, they only master it with time.
Yeah.
I think they're.
I mean, hell, they beat Houston and Creighton back, and Creighton wasn't playing well.
Creighton was not.
They're playing a lot better now.
That was at home. Houston was at home too, right?
I thought that was a neutral site game. I might be
wrong. Was it neutral?
Yeah, that was a neutral site. Forgot where they played it, but it was.
What I see, I just.
I was in Las Vegas. They played the NIL tournament in Vegas.
Now they lost. Was it Oregon?
Purdue.
In that tournament?
Yeah, they did lose to Oregon in that tournament. They lost to Purdue also. But
that
was
lost
a road
twice.
Game. Yeah, that right.
Oh, no, Purdue was on the road.
Purdue was
Purdue was me and Max were going.
It's the only two games they've lost.
Me and Max were going to watch
the
Pelicans G League game that they played. It's like a Friday afternoon. Watch it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I'm with you. I think Alabama wins this game close, and I think Auburn takes the return match in. At the end, they play the last game of the season, last game of the regular season. I think Auburn wins that one.
You know when that Purdue Alabama game was? The same day. Tyson Paul.
Oh God!
Did you see? Remember, you were complaining about does Netflix did that right?
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen Netflix stock?
I hadn't paid attention to it.
Hey, do we bitch and complain about the? Okay, I got to buy Peacock now. I got to buy Paramount.
Yeah.
I got to buy Amazon. I got to buy Netflix. You see their stock with the fight in the Christmas
the NFL,
Day?
Yeah, I haven't. Right. Well, I give them credit when they did the fight, which was the biggest farce ever, and it was a terrible production. I said after that, I said they got 6 weeks, I think it was, to get this right for Christmas, because if you screw this up on the NFL, they will come to, and they were. Christmas Day, they were fine.
I had it perfectly timed. I was leaving the Pels G League game. I was going to Beaurivage just in time for the fight, but some a-hole forgets his damn computer in my car, so I got to wait on him.
Max, you a-hole.
So I got in for Beaurivage, and it was like the Red Sea. It was like, man, where are all these people coming from? I mean, they were emptying out. They obviously all bet Tyson.
I didn't even bet on it. I just had it on TV. You know how they say, "Oh, that's a couple hours of my life I'll never get back." That's how I felt after watching.
So
the undercard.
So Max did me a favor.
Yes, the undercard wasn't bad. There were a couple of good fights
even
on the undercard.
Even if you had Jake Paul like I did.
Oh, if you win in money, it's always fun. But God, it was hard to watch. And that was before they showed me Tyson's rear end. I mean, that snuck its way onto the broadcast. I didn't need to see that.
Wait, what are you talking about?
They had a camera in the locker room. They showed Tyson's
behind.
Yeah, his bare behind on Netflix. It was
love is in the air.
Awful. It was absolutely awful.
You know, running a business can be difficult enough without the right relationship with your bank. With United Community Bank's local business bankers, you're not just a number, you're a partner. Our great team at United Community Bank, Heath Muir, Nicole Glover, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, David Henry, Prentice Wilkes. Yes, indeed. United Community Bank with locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow, including their newest branch at Burbank and Bluebonnet, serving the people of Southern Louisiana for over 50 years. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. I'm sure they'll appreciate we kind of segging Tyson's ass right into their live spot. So,
well, I'm sure Netflix does their business.
Hey, maybe that was there. No, my point is, it is Derek Stevens got the deal with Netflix. Like, he's pretty sharp guy. To do their contest show, right. the documentary,
right?
Whatever,
and they do a great job with those things.
Netflix is not producing it. Netflix is just airing it.
Oh, I thought they did.
No. Okay. That's it. No. I was on. I was on it when we did LSU USC. I talked to those guys. It's a Las Vegas production crew. They do a lot. They got a nice nice budget now.
I know Netflix got their acting gear by the time they did those NFL games because the difference between the fight and the NFL
I'm gonna tell
games.
you, they paid how much to do it? I mean, they're stop. We're not done paying for peacocks of the world.
Live at Rufino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
The Thibodeau Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau. You know, we're getting closer towards spring. Tailgating weather, crawfish pots, jambalaya pots, big green egg cookers, all of them available at the Thibodeau Store. And, of course, you go down to 900 St. Patrick Highway, but you can also do a lot of shopping at the Thibodeau Store online at ThibodeauStore.com. So if you're looking to do some home improvements, you can pick them up either there or a lot of these items are available for delivery. When you talking about home improvements that you can do yourself, sometimes you don't know exactly what you're doing, certainly the case for me. Let the experts there walk you through to make sure you're not wasting time and money. Carpentry supplies, plumbing supplies, electrical supplies, power tools, hand tools, all available at the Thibodeau Store. 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau and online, ThibodeauStore.com.
Live at lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Back here at Rufino's, live at lunch. Again, going a little bit early today. We'll hand it over to Hunt Palmer at 12 o'clock for opening day. This is one of the changes that Jay Johnson has made. He wanted to have opening day in the afternoon instead of at night. A little bit warmer. I don't know how much it's going to hit the crowd. We'll see what kind of crowd they got this afternoon.
So this wasn't to kind of done to avoid the gymnastics deal?
No. They were.
It was a packed house.
Oh, I know. It works out really well that way.
Deal.
It works out really well that way. No,
or haven't they done that with lesser men's basketball crowds?
Yes, they have.
Okay.
But they were going to do this anyway, even if there wasn't gymnastics. They were going to put this game.
What do you think about that? The fans, what do the season ticket holders feel?
I have mixed thoughts about it.
I mean,
from a weather
some
standpoint,
fans can't get off of work.
Some fans can't get off of work, and that's the deal. I
or
think,
you're asking them to get off of work and make a concession.
Right, and they do that in the regionals. You know, they just take the day off of work and they go out there when LSU plays in the afternoon. It's obviously a lot more comfortable. As somebody who sat through a lot of February baseball out there, for the fans, it gets cold. So from that standpoint, it's going to be warmer at 2 o'clock than it is at 8 o'clock tonight.
Whoa. You sat out where?
The old box.
Okay, that's the old box, bro.
Yeah.
The
fans are sitting outside at the new box.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me, okay? I'm talking about the fans.
Okay. No, but let's say the new box, okay, when it was cold, you were in climate control.
I was. Yeah.
The old box, then you were in the coldest seat in the house.
Yes, the wind tunnel up at the top.
So,
believe me, I know. I did 7 years at one stadium and 7 years at the other.
All
I
right.
could tell the difference.
But don't act like you shot out the new box.
No, I sat at the old box.
How old's the new box?
They opened in 2009.
16 years.
I'm speaking for the fans, Jimmy. I'm a man of the people. You know, it's warmer in the afternoon.
Kiss my.
It's the afternoon.
Come on. I mean, you sat right there in the press box, and that's one of the things we complained about. This something. I mean, your notes are flying around. Steinley stumbling down the stairs trying to dig up his game, his 175-page game notes.
Can I tell you a funny Jim Hawthorne story? So we're going into the new stadium, and there's double windows, right? Okay, one for each side of the box. And Jim always wanted to call an open air. He didn't like calling from a closed press box. And I for the most part, I agree. I said, Jim, man, the wind's going to be blowing in. Well, we're going to keep the windows open, man. You know, I'm like, okay. And so we go in there.
This is new box?
The new box, yeah. So the first thing I want to see is if it's one window or two. And
Obviously,
we get through the first game, and it's about 40 degrees, and the wind's blowing in. I thought, I'm closing my window, bud. You want to keep it open? You go right ahead. And about an inning later, I think we'll close the windows in here. I'm pretty sure we'll sacrifice the open air for a little bit of warmth. Hour number 2 straight ahead here at Rufino's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Restaurant are open here at Rufino's here. Valentine's Day lunch and at least one retirement party here.
Retirement?
So we got retirement, Valentine's
Little
Day.
kiddos dressed up in the Valentine's. Look
All
at the little
right.
girl. Look, sweet little thing with their red dress on, huh? Love is in the air. Oh, yes, indeed. Charlie thought that was Barry White.
Does it sound like Barry White?
Bruce, huh? Come on. Barry White didn't sing "Love Is in the Air," huh?
Oh yeah, boy, we're going way back there, Jimmy. But yeah, I mean, that was,
Well, who better to go way back with? Huh? About our historian. Come on, man.
He's the legend, Barry White. I didn't think we'd go there this morning, but Valentine's Day. Yeah, I guess it works. Yeah.
I come into work and Jimmy's singing what he thinks is Barry White, or what I thought was Barry White.
No, I did not.
You were singing "Love Is in the Air." Okay,
I'm just in the spirit of Valentine's Day. Kill me, Charlie.
When I think about Valentine's Day, I think about you first, Jimmy.
I'm a romanticist.
Yes.
I mean, come on. Huh? Bruce, oh boy, how about these with these Tritons, huh? I mean, everybody's worried about the Torrey Pines. How about across the street from Torrey Pines, UCSD? What man? I can't see the selection committee letting both UCSD and Irvine, whoever loses in the conference tournament, in. Can you?
No, they'll get in the other. By the way, there's another tournament this year besides the NIT called the Crown.
That Vegas one.
Yeah, the Vegas one.
Yeah.
So I mean, there might be room for them. The news. A couple things. The UCSD one. Yeah, I have actually been there to watch games. They've got a very nice on-campus arena, and on one side of the arena, behind the seats, they've got like a huge mural, but it's like the wave, like the ocean, but it just keeps moving all the time. It's a very, very surreal sort of look. Now, UCSD, though, is beyond the probationary status this year. So last year, I think they won the regular season in the Big West. They lost,
but
they weren't invited to the tournament, Big West tournament. This year, because they couldn't go to the NC2A, they did go to this CIT, I think, last year. But this year, they are qualified. They are eligible to go to the Big Dance. So in their case, they still got to win the Big West tournament, but at least they'll be in the Big West tournament and they'll have a chance. The neat thing about them, the coach Eric Olin, very good. His top scorer last year and one of the best players in the Big West, Bryce Pope, transferred to USC for his last year. He's hardly played for the Trojans, but they thought that would be a big loss because he scored about almost 19 per game last year for the Tritons. But no, they have picked up the pace really nice. They did it to me last night. I actually thought Bakersfield might be worth a look on that blue court up there in the Central Valley, but no, UCSD did it, and after they beat Irvine on the road last week, so they're for real.
All right, let me just stay with the small California schools tonight because San Jose State had two big leads on San Diego State. They lost both of them. A couple of nights ago, they had a 17-point lead at half, and San Diego State goes on a 17-0 run to start the second half. Try to remember that? There was another 17-0 run that night. What game was it? Was that Florida at Mississippi State?
Florida out of the gate, second half at Ole Miss.
Yes. So just like San Jose State, San Diego State against San Jose State. San Jose State, Bruce, covered again, though, and covered easily. They covered, but they have the best ATS record in college basketball. How many do we have this year, Bruce? 360? Exactly?
Yeah, 355, I think.
355, okay.
Yeah.
They're playing tonight. And catching points again at home.
Yeah, you're right. And, boy, you're right that San Diego State, that looked a carbon copy of that game 2 weeks ago. I mean, almost down to the same score. I mean, it was 71-68 and then 69-66, blew the double-digit lead. But we mentioned about their point spread prowess. Now, if you were one of those who got San Jose minus 2.5 early last week against Fresno, you got a cover in that overtime. And if you got a cover there, they're 18-2 their last 20 against the spread. So they've been awfully good against the number. Covered 5 straight here at home. Have some nice wins at home, including over New Mexico. Not sure about Will McClendon, who's their second leading scorer. Missed the game the other night, and what his status is for tonight. But Latrell Davis, who had been a really good six-man for Tim Miles, moving into the starting lineup, scored 21 against the Aztecs. So and with Uduji, the transfer from Utah State, they've got the ample firepower there, I think, even if Glendon doesn't play. Nevada is starting to rally a little bit, 3 straight wins, but it has been mostly a down run here for Steve Alford. They dropped 9 of 10 against the number before that. They did win, but did not cover against the Spartans in Reno a few weeks ago. And Nevada looks a very unreliable favorite to me coming into tonight. They've also had, one of their starters here, Coleman, has not been there lately. He did show up the other night against Fresno, but he had been suspended before that. So something might be going on in Reno. Make it to the bottom line. Yes, I'll take San Jose plus tonight.
All right, Indiana and UCLA. Charlie got a kick out of Michigan State, UCLA conference game with Magic, Kareem, but I mean, my goodness, Knight, Wooden. How many times did they meet in a tournament? Have they? I don't believe they met for a national championship battle. I don't remember a Final Four battle. Did Indiana UCLA ever have any big ones in the tournament, Bruce?
Yeah, Jimmy, back to the 70s. And by the way, I think this is UCLA's first game ever in Assembly Hall, or whatever they're calling it now, in Bloomington.
It's West Reynolds Court.
Yeah, it's something there now, but 73 Final Four in St. Louis. The Bruins won in the Final Four, a game they almost blew. Knight cut a 20-point UCLA lead to 2 in the second half, and before UCLA restored order to win. They met then in the opening game. This was a 75-76 season. This is after Wooden had retired, so it was Gene Bartow's first game. UCLA had won the national title the year before, but Indiana thought it should have won. That's the year Scott May broke his wrist late in the year. It was also NBC's first game as the national television source for college hoops. And this is Thanksgiving weekend of 75. They went back to St. Louis to play this. Indiana won handily, starting off that undefeated season. And then they finished the undefeated season, in the Final Four again against UCLA in March of 76. So they played them twice that season. Since then, though, just a couple of times in the NIT final in 85, UCLA beat Indiana, and then in the Elite Eight West Regional in 92, Indiana won pretty big.
All right, Elite Eight.
They haven't gotten together
final.
too much, but there is a little bit of history there.
Knight was probably the only guy I ever heard publicly say something critical of John Wooden. Wooden was a sacred cow of all sacred cows, and nobody ever said anything bad about it.
Well, he was that era's Duke. I mean, he was cheating as bad as anybody. And Jabbar just stumbled onto Westwood from New York.
Well, Knight was the only one that ever called him out publicly about Sam Gilbert. And back then, that was but nobody else would do that.
No, that's right. No. He was Knight's. Didn't hold his tongue. I don't believe. Huh?
No, he was pretty candid most of the time. Sometimes to his detriment.
But that's my point. I mean, and speaking of NBC, when I see this matchup and I'm looking at it, I just think of that NBC era. I think of those, but and Brucey. I'm not talking about an NIT matchup. Come on, now we're talking about the big one. For all their success, they really haven't had a ton of it. Okay, to tonight, Indiana, Mike Woodson. Man, how about they won at East Lansing, and they fell behind early, too. They played hard against Michigan, so Charlie was trying to monitor, had they tanked it for the coach, who's a lame duck coach, been announced that he's done at the end of the year, or would it inspire him a little bit? So far, I'll have to lean on the inspired side.
Absolutely. That game in the middle of the week for
Indiana at home tonight in Assembly Hall at West Reynolds Court, catching 1.5 against the Bruins, who are playing very good.
Yeah, Wes will be cheering for him, we know. And I think you guys are right about Woodson. That to me was one of the more surprising results of the year. They had playing poorly, and Woodson announced he's going to be leaving at the end of the year. Then all of a sudden, they've come up with their best game of the season. I mean, that came out of nowhere. So that makes you think they turned something around here. They had a little bumpy road there in January. Malik Renault got hurt, missed a couple of weeks. One of their top scorers up front, Ballo, the big kid from Arizona, has contributed this year. But mostly, the defense hasn't been great. Some inconsistent shooting. UCLA is a short favorite here tonight. UCLA, though, is playing very, very well lately. Now, here's the thing. they made a late run in Illinois and almost stole that game on Tuesday. Did cover it, but they had won 7 in a row before that. The big kid from Spain, Mara, didn't play a lot against Illinois, but he's been making 7-3. He's been making more contributions the last month, and the guards are playing much better. And Daly, also the transfer from Oak State, got that goalie mask off his face after he had that broken nose. I think UCLA can go in here and win. The one note, the Bruins have yet to win a game at a traditional Big Ten road trip this year. Now, they did beat Washington, Oregon, USC on the coast, and these are Big Ten games this year. But back in the Midwest and East, remember, they lost those 2 to Rutgers in Maryland. They lost the game at Nebraska. They lost the game the other night at Champaign-Urbana. So this is something UCLA hasn't done yet. And, oh, by the way, Mick Cronin's name has been one of those mentioned peripherally as a potential successor there at Indiana. So keep an eye on that, too, though I think it's unlikely, but another twist there. I'm going to take UCLA. I think there's something going on with the Bruins, and I like the tough-mindedness they showed against Illinois, and I need one more convincing on Indiana to think they're really back here for Woodson, because they had not played well the few weeks before.
Yeah, I will say this, though. This is a week old now with Woodson, in Indiana parting ways. 2 Fridays ago, on January 31st, man, they played their rear ends off at Purdue. I mean, that was a tough beat for them. So that does not come into it. So that was one of their better games that they had all year. I mean, that was Purdue very fortunate to get out of there with the win. All right, the big one in Tuscaloosa tomorrow, 1 versus 2, first time in the history of the SEC. Alabama 1.5 at home against Auburn.
Wow, the Iron Bowl for hoops. Can you believe that? I really think these two could play in the national title game if the region's set up correctly and they don't meet, if they don't have to meet in the Final Four. They're both that good. I'm seeing an early number here. Alabama 1.5. Total up there really high, about 172.5. I almost think this game could go over. It's just because Alabama just gets involved in these games where the offense just goes back and forth, and they're scoring almost 91 per game, leading the nation. It just fits well, and having the guys who had been there last year, Grant Nelson had come in last year, Sears has been there, so a little bit of experience and the depth and some of the guys that they got out of the portal, Youngblood. I mean, this is really good. I almost feel better about the total than the side here, because I think it really is a toss-up here. And Auburn is so good, especially, since, Broom's injury was not that serious, and all the pieces are fitting there for Bruce Pearl. Home court, maybe that makes a little edge there for Alabama to win this thing outright, but, Auburn is certainly capable of going there and winning, and that would not surprise me. So I guess I'm saying I might actually take Auburn to win this thing, but I kind of like it over more. I think this game is high 80s into the 90s, and maybe it does get over that 172.
Alabama wants to run. There is no doubt about that. Here's a couple of select games that I have lines on early, Bruce. You kind of pick and choose. A&M tomorrow. They, what a comeback they had against Georgia. Big win on the road against Missouri. Missouri, good team this year. And Buzz got them in the top 10. They're 9.5 now at home against Arkansas. Tennessee and Knoxville is 12.5 over Vanderbilt. Purdue 5.5 at home against Wisconsin. And Houston in the Big 12, 1.5 on the road at Tucson against Arizona. Any of those interest you?
Yeah, there are some interesting ones there. A&M's had a few games this year where they wild last a few minutes, but Arkansas, things have turned around. We talked about Arkansas last week. I thought that was sort of a banana peel against LSU, but they handled that okay. They made a real run at Alabama late in that game last week. I think it's a different team since the things we talked about last week with Arkansas. So that's a good slug of points to give Calipari, who is covering games and winning some of these. So I might give Arkansas a look there. Tennessee Vandy, this is interesting. This is a revenge game for Tennessee. They lost that game at Nashville a couple of weeks ago. They're back home here. I kind of think Tennessee might get them here at home. They are off the loss to Kentucky, though. So, we'll see. That's the second time they've lost to Kentucky, so we'll see how that goes. Speaking of Kentucky, at Texas at night tomorrow night. I don't see a number on this one yet. Kentucky will probably be a slight favorite. Texas is struggling here right now, and they have 3 straight losses. They've lost 4 of 5. I wonder, I worry about Texas. I mean, as far as the SEC teams go in the dance, I think this is the one that actually might miss the dance because they don't have a lot of non-conference big wins, and they're really living off those 2 wins over Missouri and Texas A&M, and the A&M win was a miracle when they had earlier in the season. I'm kind of looking against Texas right now, and I'm just wondering about the whole Rodney Terry thing there, how that's going to work. So I might actually give Kentucky a look in that one tomorrow. Another one tonight, really quick. St. Louis is playing tonight against Loyola Chicago, about 140 and a half. Despite what happened in the game against George Mason on Tuesday, where a late flurry of points forced overtime, and then the scoreline ballooned in overtime, St. Louis is still very much an under team. They're sort of what the unders are to what San Jose State is against the spread. 18-3 to the under their last 21. This is Josh Schertz from Indiana State. He's had to slow down the pace a little bit from what he did last year. He's got 2 of those guys came with him from Terre Haute, Avila with the glasses and Isaiah Swope plus Jimerson. They don't have much depth, though. So he's got to ride those 3 guys, and that's why he slowed the pace a bit. And that's why they're going under every game. And Loyola's been pretty much an under team, too. They have been under 5 straight, and then they had an overtime game against Richmond the other night. 140 and a half is too high in that one for me, guys. So I'm looking under in the A10 with St. Louis and Loyola tonight.
All right, Bruce, VegasInsider.com and multiple places to find all of Bruce's stuff. Bruce, thanks for adjusting your schedule for our early show today. Good luck to you. We'll talk to you next week.
Of course, boys. Have a good weekend.
All right, don't forget it's Carnival season, and Carnival season got Spanish Town tomorrow night. Their ball downtown. Artemis Orion next Saturday. You going down to the ball? We can have Carnival. What is Carnival and ball without a king cake? Town Square Pizza is delivering their delicious, freshly baked square king cakes to the Mardi Gras balls at River Center this weekend. Just give your name and table number at the time of ordering. The king cakes will be waiting when your guests arrive. Order before noon on day before the event. Contact GM at townsquarepizza.net or give us a call at 408-408-8088. That's 408-8088 for more details to order. We're on the Facebook page as well. Town Square Pizza, again, king cakes. We can deliver them to your Carnival ball this weekend and next weekend downtown at the River Center.
Let me give you some more details about the king cake because we got one of these yesterday. All right, This is phenomenal.
Is that right?
Phenomenal.
Cinnamon, huh?
This is, imagine, when you get really good pizza, okay, like they got down at Town Square Pizza, you bake that bread, that very rich bread. Imagine that in a king cake, okay? This is the best king cake I have had ever in my life. I'm not joking.
Go ahead, Charlie.
This was phenomenal. Dare I say near life-changing king cake. It was so good. Okay.
There you go.
We got some of this yesterday. It was off the charts.
Dana Brown Dazzo.
Yes, it was awesome,
yes, indeed.
Brother.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome king cake. So my wholehearted
and you get the cream cheese, chocolate chip, the cinnamon. You could do or a combination of the cream cheese with those.
That bread
as well.
was phenomenal.
Very
Absolutely
good
great
stuff. Very good stuff. King Cakes at Town Square Pizza. We come back. We'll go out to San Diego. Chris Massaro with a college basketball angle with all this travel. He's been tracking one and got some an interesting angle there in some of the key games as well. Live at lunch, live at Rufino's, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, let's go out to San Diego. Our buddy Chris Massaro with us each and every week at this time. We're singing his praises over here because of very good on your picks for the Super Bowl, Chris. I hope it translated into that much of a profit for you personally.
Yeah, thank you. It was a very good Super Bowl for me after the last couple of years of some anguish. I've been on the wrong side of the Chiefs' kingdom too many times, so it was nice to finally be on the right side and Like I mentioned, I played a bunch of those alt numbers, and I have some really interesting alt parlays that I already hit. Going towards college basketball for the championships and Final Fours with some big plus prices. So very excited how that turned out, and it was nice not even have to sweat it out at all because we already had the all totals were in well before the game was even in question. So very happy about that.
And the Eagles, individually over the team totals in the first half and in the game, that wasn't much of a sweat either, Chris.
No, it was. At one point when they threw that first offensive pass interference, like everyone else in the country, here we go again, and then they kind of stymied out on the middle of the second quarter, but then they got the pick six, and that was about as happy as I've been watching a Super Bowl since Tom Brady beat the Rams back in 2018. So. We were doing a little jig in the house, so I was thrilled. Yeah.
How'd the food come out, bro?
The pizza came out great. We had some very accommodating guests who also brought. We had some ribs, and we got some pulled pork as well. So we had a little Italian, we had a little barbecue. It was a nice smorgasbord of it all. It was great day all around.
You did the alts with your Philly team totals, including a plus 295 on 30.5, and that had to feel good to go over in the third quarter. And of course, but there was a part of that game where you like us, and I was hitting the Charlie, and I was like, because we had Philly, I had Philly big, and I said, I had Philly alt line minus 8.5 as well. So I did more of the Philly alt lines instead of the total outlines. I guess they're similar. We're cheering for the same. But, man, they're killing them. It's only 7-0. They're killing them. It's only 10-0. Yeah. But bam, those back-to-back turnovers. Then that was. I mean, pizza for everybody. They had to be toasted. You ever do a little jigging in the Macero household?
There was some toasting. Yes, there was some toasting. Yes, I can agree to that. There was some toasting. But like I said, in one of the alts I had, I played some Maryland, who looked really good last night, even though the refs tried to give it to Nebraska.
Oh.
Something has to be done about these Midwestern ref teams. I mean, these referees in these home games. It's unbelievable. The stuff they like to give away. I mean, I think every trip down the court last night, Nebraska was shooting 2 free throws. I mean, they called every single foul on Maryland. They did everything they could do to keep Nebraska in the game, and it still wasn't good enough.
Maryland is a real interesting team. I gave them out locally here, Otterlock's picks, but they lead the country in games where all 5 starters scored double digits. They have a few of those games. I don't know, there's 4 or 5 of them, but they don't have a ton of depth. But when you're talking about getting into the tournament, we're trying to find teams that might be. They're a dangerous team because we know when you get to the tournament, longer. It's kind of like the Super Bowl light. Longer commercial breaks, it's more choppy. It gets into your bench a little bit less than a normal game. So, I mean, Nebraska's been tough, Chris. I mean, they've been tough at home, and Hoiberg's such a good coach. And I listened to his post game after. He's fun to listen to, man. He took a shot at the refs a little bit, but in a mild-mannered way. I don't know. I can't believe he's coaching at Nebraska. I will just tell you that.
Yeah,
he's still the mayor.
I cannot freaking believe we got Matt McMahon and Nebraska has freaking Freddie Hoiberg. I can't believe that.
Well, like I said, I was on Maryland last night. I have Maryland at 90-1 to win, to cut down the nets. I think they're a legit Final Four team.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have them at 90-1, and I have them at 90-1 with the alt Philly, which makes it about 1,000-1. So we have a couple of different combos with Maryland to hopefully make a deep run. But if you want to know, I'd like to break down a couple things as we've talked, me and you, about this whole travel spot in college basketball. With
especially Big Ten and ACC with all,
Big Ten and ACC. Yeah. Tuesday night, for example, Oregon came off 2 tough Midwest games against Michigan and Michigan State. The Michigan State game they gave away. Now they're flying back to play Northwestern at home. Well, Northwestern was already sitting there because they had just played Washington Friday night. So that's perceived as an easy game for Oregon. Oregon's laying 9. What happens? They only win by 6. Northwestern covers. Same scenario presents itself on Wednesday night. You had Wake Forest on a 3-game winning streak, just won 2 nice games on the West Coast over Cal and Stanford. They come home for the perceived easy game versus Florida State, laying 7. What happens? Florida State wins outright. There's a similar scenario coming up tomorrow. Arizona State was just out in the Midwest playing Texas Tech and Oklahoma State. They played a grueling game, overtime, lost to Texas Tech, kind of gave it away. Now they're coming home for the perceived easy game versus TCU. I'm going to lean towards TCU depending upon what that number is. Ken Palm's got it at a 7, +7 TCU. So that's one I'm looking at for tomorrow. But these spots keep coming up. For example, NC State went to the West Coast last weekend, and they came home Wednesday. Not that they're a good team, but they were getting like 11 at home versus Louisville. They got blown out, lost by 25. These spots keep presenting themselves, and if you look for them, you can find them, and you can get some good value on an underdog team a lot of times when they're sitting there waiting to play while the other team's flying back, and it's a perceived easy game for the other team, the team coming home, and they end up laying an egg.
Gotcha. TCU is playing who tomorrow?
Arizona State, 7 o'clock game.
Playing Arizona State, yeah.
Oh, my goodness, Arizona State, too. I mean, Arizona. But so you going against Arizona State after the double overtime game?
Yeah, I'd be looking away TCU. Hopefully, you get 7 or something along those lines. You don't want to play TCU +3, but if they're not a great team, but that's why you're getting some value. You're getting more than 2 possessions against a team like ASU who's not that great. ASU's lost like 5 or 6 in a row, and they're coming off the double overtime. So it's just a spot play where you hold your nose, you take a horrible team like TCU,
right.
You're getting some points on the road, and you hope they pull it off.
Well, TCU had their own wild one against Oklahoma State. I mean, they tried their best to throw that away. They did throw it away, and then they hit with 2 seconds, they go length of the court pass, 3-pointer at the buzzer to win by 1. And speaking of Arizona State, I've seen enough. Bobby Hurley's got a decent roster. He's got shot makers, and he's got length. He can't coach. He's just not a good coach. He is not the coach of the way better player than his brother, but not close to his brother. I mean, they actually have a decent roster at Arizona State. They just can't get it done. Indiana and UCLA is the headliner game tonight. Who we're looking at there? Indiana catching 1.5 at home, coming off of their big win against Michigan State at East Lansing midweek.
Yeah, I'm not running to the window to take Indiana, but it would be Indiana or pass for me. UCLA, like Bruce had just mentioned, they're 0-4 in true road games. Losses at Nebraska, Maryland, Rutgers, Illinois. They have no wins on the road outside the Pacific time zone. And, Indiana hasn't quit. Huge effort Saturday versus Michigan. Then they get the outright win against Michigan State. His team hasn't won a home game since January 8th. So I think this is a spot where the crowd's going to be super into it. Mick Cronin gets a little emotional. I feel like the crowd's going to be riding him pretty hard. I'm not running to the window. If I could get a 2 or 2.5, I'd be on Indiana. Or what I like to look at in this game is Indiana has been prone to start a little slow, and you can get a good, maybe in-game number, maybe 5, maybe 6, because if you look at UCLA's road wins that they have, the games that they have won, they've been by 2, 3, 5, and 6. So I'd say maybe if you can get 2, 2.5 on Indiana, maybe a half unit there, and then maybe look for an in-game line, you might be able to get a better number, 5, 6, because UCLA is not the type of team that's going to blow you out on the road.
All right, Chris Massaro joining us right now here to show each and every week. Another good one tomorrow, Chris. Now we know about Auburn, Alabama, but Houston, Arizona, a top 10 matchup in Tucson. Houston now a slight favorite on the road here, 1.5.
Yeah, I'm going to be leaning Arizona here. I was hoping to get a little bit more than 1.5. I saw Ken Palm had it at like a +3 Arizona, but if it's 1.5, I'd still lean Arizona. Houston is 6-0 on the road, 0-2 in neutral games. But if you look closer at the road games, Colorado last weekend was a 2-point game late in the second. West Virginia was a 5-point game late in the second. The Kansas debacle, double overtime where Kansas gave them the game. The UCF game, Houston trailed the entire game and won the game by 1. There are other 2 wins on the road, OK State and K-State, before K-State turned it around. So their 6-0 road record isn't quite as strong as it might appear. So I'm going to ride Arizona. I think they're going to bounce back off a terrible shooting performance Wednesday night versus K-State, where they only shot 2 for 22 from 3. Caleb Love was 0 for 7. This team plays so much better at the McHale Center in Tucson. I'm going to go with a little rebound. Tommy Lloyd and the boys, the Wildcats, take the 1.5. If you can get 2, I'd go for that. But I think there's a good shot Arizona upsets Houston.
Let me ask you, man. You live about 10 minutes from UC San Diego and Torrey Pines. You going to see a golf, or is the basketball team? Have you seen the basketball team this year?
I went to renew my passport the other day, and the passport office is on the UCSD campus. But that is about as close as I've got to any sort of activity.
Okay.
I like to watch the games on my couch.
I got you. But the coach, man, I mean, he's got something cooking over there, man. I mean, he's blasted Irvine on the road. Yeah.
Very strong defense. I had under Irvine team total the other night, and it was not looking good. But the Tritons put the clamps on late in the second half, and it looked like Irvine had never shot the basketball the last 5 minutes of the game. I think they only had 2 points the last 5 or 6 minutes of that game when the Tritons pulled away.
What's the deal with all the rain over there, huh, bro?
Yeah, it's coming through. Went through Vegas, Arizona, San Diego yesterday at Torrey Pines. It was 58 windy, felt like 48. The crowds weren't very big, although the Genesis people are in charge of all that, so not the same crew for the tickets and all the stuff that we usually get to do. So I have Rory top 10 and top 5, so he's got that chip in yesterday, which was exciting on 8. So see if he can. I haven't really even peeked at it today. I'm not even sure what's going on, but that's who I'm on.
Yeah, they stumbled down the stretch yesterday, and I mean Scheffler's got an eagle putt on 18, and he parred it. So I mean, it's just the conditions are really, really tough. Scheffler's the favorite, on from about 4-1 to now at plus 210 in Rory. Second choice now at about 8-1, and Humans came on yesterday and said that he's gonna, because the ball's just not gonna roll more, he's got to get somebody off the tee as strong as he can. And that's why he went with Rory. But yeah, that's some brutal conditions, man. I mean, I haven't seen it like that in a long, long time. All right, Chris, we appreciate it, man. Wait, one more thing. Please tell me you had UConn against Creighton this week. Please.
I did not. I know you've been riding Creighton the whole time. I was a total stay-away game for me because I've been burned by Creighton too many times. And finally, when I should have been on them, I wasn't on them. But at least I wasn't involved with Creighton at all. Creighton's one of those teams where when they're clicking on all cylinders, they can beat anyone in the country. But I just still don't trust them. I don't trust their toughness. I just think they're a little soft, even though that Kalkbrenner's,
and they all
stats week after week.
I mean, but they are the pace wore him down too. But look, man, the UConn freshman, he made a difference too with 38. I mean, my goodness, turned a 14-point lead into a win in downtown. 8 p.m. tip and $1 beer. That could be tough. In downtown Omaha. Chris, good luck to you, brother. Great stuff as always. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Yes, indeed. Chris Massaro from San Diego, professional sports gambler, breaking down his. We've been trying to, it's new this year, Charlie, but trying to get an angle on that. So road trip, competitive games, comeback as a favorite can be a little bit of a, kind of a fatigue spot.
We've seen it happen a number of times. Probably the most prominent was when Iowa State went out on that West Coast trip and then came home and got blown out by Kansas State.
And that's a perfect example because fatigued and as a big favorite, not overly motivated. Yeah. So that's why he's, it's how much was Iowa State going to get fired up to play Kansas State when they just played at Arizona and they got Kansas coming up. It was a sandwich spot in the schedule, too.
Yes, it was.
Don't forget our friends over at Total Maintenance. Total Maintenance, I know we're not thinking AC right now, but now is the time to schedule your AC check. It's one time because when we start stressing these units, man, you got to clean it, We got to check it, evaluate it, and see if you might have a part that might be, this thing is going to break down when we really, it's going to be much more expensive. And the great thing is you save $100. It's normally $179. It's just $79. Right around the corner where we're really stressing these AC units. It's going to give you lower monthly bills, extend the lifetime of your unit, and avoid more costly repairs by evaluating, make sure all your parts are in good standing there. And it's just $79. Call Total Maintenance right now, 480-1000. 480-1000. Total Maintenance, one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating companies.
Live at Rufino's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Otten Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Today's show brought to you in part by Coastal Capital Advisors, because when it comes to retirement, no two situations are alike. So let Coastal Capital Advisors tailor a plan for you and your family's needs, same way they've done it for me. Doesn't matter your age or your financial situation, Coastal Capital Advisors will work with you and build a relationship for a lifetime. Into retirement, they've worked especially well for me. For more information, contact Philip Fontenot and his staff, 337-981-1376. Online, it's coastalcapitaladv.com. Advisory services provided by New Age Advisors, doing business as Coastal Capital Advisors. Securities offered through New Age Securities, member FINRA, SIPC. LSU's women's basketball team has got a game on Sunday against Texas. This will be, outside of the trip to South Carolina, their toughest game of the year. Texas last night, in what looked like it could be easily a sandwich spot after their big win against South Carolina, with LSU coming into the building next week, going to 8th-ranked Kentucky, who's 19-3 on the season, and Texas just blew them away. 18-point win. It really wasn't that close. It was 22 at the end of 3. So LSU and Texas on Sunday. That game is a 2 o'clock tip-off on ABC. That'll be one of the premier regular season games in women's basketball. Another one was last night at USC, where USC beat UCLA. Despite trailing going into the fourth quarter by 5, they beat the number 1 Bruins. First loss of the season for UCLA. And Juju Watkins had a game for the ages against the number 1 team in the country. 38 points, 11 rebounds, 8 block shots, a career high in block shots. And USC came from 5 points down to win the game going away, 71-60. And then the other game we had circled last night, South Carolina. Well, Kenny White said yesterday, can name the score. Did. They won it by 38. So just a couple of tidbits from last night. Juju Watkins was I did not stay awake for the rest of the game. It was on Peacock anyway, but I did watch the extended highlights this morning. She's worth the price of admission. 6'2", 11 rebounds, and 8 block shots against the 6'7"
I think
Lauren
that's her
Betts
best game of the year, though. Especially I'm talking about statistically. Now, given the caliber of competition, no doubt it's her highlight game of the year. But I think that's just like she saved her best for the best. And, it's a crosstown rival. They're both top 10. All is UCLA number 1?
They were.
They were number 1?
No, they still are, but they're
number 1.
That was their first loss of the season. And we don't bring up a lot of women's basketball outside of LSU, but, Kenny White's been giving us picks. He's been doing really well. For Watkins to hit 6 out of 9 threes and have 8 block shots and 11 rebounds, I mean, this is she's the best player in the country, obviously, but her all-around game stood out last night. That was, again, one of the all-timers for a regular season game for USC, who had lost earlier this season to UCLA. So, going out to the box here in about 15 minutes for Hunt Palmer shows this opening day.
All right, here's an update on Kentucky. Lamont Butler, we've talked about them. He's had a shoulder injury, and they really struggled without him for the most part. They did manage to beat Tennessee at Knoxville without him, but he played great in a blowout win against South Carolina and was playing really good again. Left the game when Kentucky had the lead. Tennessee took the lead, and then Kentucky just hit a bunch of shots at the end. Mark Pope yesterday, Coach Kentucky, said probably not. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Don't look for him to play. They're already without. So just because they got a little hot stretch to close the Tennessee game, he's a big loss. He's a big loss. So maybe Texas in a spot where they can't afford a loss right now on the bubble. Just be careful if you're considering taking Kentucky there, because Butler probably not going to play. So probably I list him as doubtful, and that's a big blow. There, don't be misled because they got hot against Tennessee down the stretch. Another bubble team, obviously, is that LSU goes against. Just like Arkansas cannot afford a loss to a lower power team like LSU. Same thing with Oklahoma. I mean, these are the three teams: Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. I think Mississippi State still has a little cushion. That was a bad loss. Maybe Georgia also. But those are the teams that are kind of fallen into that, with this record year for the SEC. You can't have that many top 5 teams and not have some of these teams that were safely in kind of slip toward the bubble range. So Oklahoma against LSU tomorrow. Texas needs a win against Kentucky. Mississippi State goes to Oxford tomorrow. They won in overtime at Starkville earlier. And so and Georgia hosts, is it Missouri tomorrow? They've got it a key one.
Yes, it is Missouri.
Yeah, in Athens, right?
Yes. Texas has been a mixed bag at home. They had really close losses against Tennessee and Auburn. No shame there. Good wins against Missouri and Texas A&M. The last two, you lose to Arkansas at home. That's tough. You lose to Alabama, nothing to be ashamed of there, but they got blown out. They lost by 23, so they really need a win. They've lost 4 out of 5 now overall, so they're capable of a big effort at home. Just hadn't had one recently.
You're going to the box this weekend. You're going to gymnastics. You're just hanging around campus and looking for something. Don't forget our friends at Los Reyes. We did the show a couple of days ago at Los Reyes Mexican Grill. Happy hours every day, 2:30 to 6:30. Oh, that's great, man. All of your favorite Mexican items. A great happy hour as well. Great staff. Got plenty of TVs behind the bar to watch of it. Tell them you heard it right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Los Reyes Mexican Grill, a real good idea if you headed to campus for all the events this weekend.
Live at Rufino's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
First chance for LSU baseball fans to see the team this year. The fantastic freshman Derek Curio, top 10 high school player in the country last year. Daniel Dickinson, who put up tremendous numbers at Utah Valley at second base. Luis Hernandez behind the plate from Indiana State. We'll see Anthony Ianson, the transfer from San Diego, pitch tomorrow. The return of Chase Shores on Sunday. First game in 23 months for the big right-hander. Also, tremendous freshman William Schmidt from right here at Catholic High. Figures to pitch at some point in the next 3 days. Also, Connor Ware, the lefty from Pearl River, had an outstanding fall. Is very, very highly thought of. Your first chance to see all of those. Con will have plenty on that over the next 2 hours. He is broadcasting live from out at the box. Huge weekend in college basketball as well, so enjoy that and enjoy your Valentine's Day. On Monday, we will be
Love is in the air
in Bruley, and I promise Jimmy won't sing.
Use
Max and
Jimmy, Mama's cooking.
And Jordan back in the studio.
Love is in the air.
Said thank you and good afternoon. Stop, turn him down. Here at Rufino's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.